Welcome back to Holistic Healing Association. I'm Erin Darcy. I'm certified in embodied processing and clinical hypnosis. Today, I have with me Beenish, who's from Sydney, Australia. She's a counselor and likes to work in the trauma space. Thank you so much for joining us. Can you please tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, Erin. Thank you very much for having me here. Well, as you said, I'm a counselor, and I was like deeply inclined towards working in the trauma space, which is, I would say, very magical because before I could really learn about what trauma is, I felt a very deep inclination. And as I started to learn more and more about it, I felt that, yes, this is what I needed to explore, both for myself and then understand it, understand trauma itself, understand healing, and then offer it to the rest of the world.
Okay, thank you. And do you have a personal trauma story that you'd like to share with us today?
So I like to say that everybody has a trauma story. Some are juicier than the others. So I feel that my story is not very juicy. So my personal story is not something that anyone else would relate to as traumatic. However, I feel that it's kind of a misunderstood term. Everyone has got traumatic imprints, and necessarily they don't have to be negative. So it doesn't have to be a negative experience, but it's just that, any overwhelming experience that leaves a certain traits or imprints in the body that like make you unconsciously adopt certain habits. So that is basically your trauma. So that is how I understand it. So like personally, if I start, so I was a very, very sensitive child. I was born into this family of very, very loving people. I had extremely loving parents. In fact, I had, if you really ask me, I think from what I know, I was probably the most celebrated child there could ever be. Like from my grandparents to my aunties, my uncles, my neighbors, like my teachers, and anyone I can imagine.
You were
I
wrong.
have always received that special attention, the special treatment, the love, and the affection. So now, would you call it as trauma? No.
No.
Right? No. That is not trauma, but that is overwhelming, you know? So there's a twist in the story that, when I was receiving all of that love, being a very, very sensitive child, I was also really attuned to their emotions. This is how I understand this. So they are very attuned to me, and reciprocally, I am very attuned to them. So what's happening is that I am catching their emotions. So whatever the adults around me are feeling, I'm feeling that as a child.
Okay.
And as I'm growing up, how I'm responding to that is that, I have received so much love, I've received so much care. Now it is my responsibility to give back. So if my mother is upset over something, I need to go and fix it for her. If my father is upset over something, I need to go and fix it for him. So this is how, that sensitive child is growing up.
And was this just with your parents or all adults?
I think all adults and
Children?
even children, yes. So, if my friend is like going through something, even as a child, like, a 4-year-old, a 5-year-old, um, and if I would see my little brother, like I can remember myself being 5 or 4 and my brother being 1. And if he is being like, ignored or neglected, or if he's going through some trouble, I would catch his emotions as well. And I would try to fix things for him. Right. And then, like, if I really think of an event, so I was around 9 or 10 years old when my family like went through a car accident. And it was a very, very traumatic event. And I lost one of my cousins. So my auntie, my mom's sister, who I was very, very close to, she was there, and there were like 4 or 5 other people in the car. My mom was driving. So most of the people were unconscious, and we lost one child, who was my auntie's son. So he was maybe around 5 at that time, and I was around 9. So I saw my auntie losing her child. I think that
That would have been really
impacted me in many ways. Yeah. And
and
again,
losing your cousin.
yeah. But losing my cousin was not the pain. It was my auntie's pain, as if I have lost a child.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. So it was more like, catching on the emotion
Picking up,
and
feeling
something
everything
like,
she's
yes. So I'm watching her, and there's no one around. Like, because everybody's injured, the whole family's injured, everybody's hurt, everybody's being taken to different like departments in the hospital to get them treated. So it's just me. It's just a memory that is me. And before me, it's my cousin. Um, and then on the other hand, it's my auntie. So I'm watching her, and I'm feeling what she's feeling. And then there it goes one. And of course, there's nothing that I can do about it. There's nothing that I can do to fix it. So that gets imprinted in me. But then as a child, as that, with the limited maturity of a child, I carry on these things, and then I like adopt this mentality or a mechanism of trying to fix things for us. Then I think most of my teenagers would be like, when my family went through a bad financial crisis, which had a lot of impact on my mom's emotional health and my father's mental health. And, of course, there were, like everybody else, they were having their baggages, and they were carrying their own, childhood traumas, and however you want to see it. So in my experience, it was my mom who's very, very anxious about what is going to happen next. And it's my father who is feeling very, very helpless. So, and before they could even say it, I could feel it. And then that would imprint, like, even physically imprint in my body. again, repetitive, that I am trying to fix things for them. And at the age of like 18, I'm trying very, very hard to be able to earn so that I could support them. And by the time I'm like 20, 22, finishing my education, I'm like totally burned, extremely exhausted. And I'm taking all the bad decisions because those decisions are coming out of desperation.
And what
They're
were
not
those
grounded.
decisions?
Like, relationships. So there are like, I think, very critical decisions that one takes in their early 20s. That, okay, what is going to be the career choice? Which are you going to follow? Are you going to recognize your passion? Are you going to follow your passion? Are you, and then, choosing a life partner, or, going for a relationship. Do you want to enter into a relationship or not? So all of these decisions, that was the time. So they were being taken out of desperation. That, okay, they were not being taken off uh, passion. So it was like, fear versus love. So fear had definitely taken over. So if I'm choosing to be with somebody, so it's because, I need to be with somebody, otherwise something bad or negative will happen, not because I want to be with somebody. No? So yeah, so that's the coping mechanism. And then I think it's worth mentioning here that while I was behaving the way I was behaving, I was also being appreciated for being the way I was, you know. So
Yes.
if I'm self-sacrificing, if I'm, caretaking, if I'm caregiving, so I was kind of appreciated and praised and acclaimed by the society
Right,
around me.
because everyone said how nice you are, how
Yeah,
thoughtful, how helpful, how
yes,
kind,
yes,
and
yes,
behind it all, you're suffering, you're caring
yeah.
so much, you're being impacted because you're carrying everyone's emotions. And today, can you still feel everyone's emotions?
I think, like, now I take it as a gift.
Okay.
I can, but as my story unfolded, you know, I can feel the emotions, but after having healed myself, I'm not carried away by them. So, like, the burden has transformed into the capacity for holding space and holding, compassion.
That makes sense because I know
Yeah.
others that have the same gift, and it can be a gift and it can be
Yes.
a hardship until
Yeah.
the person learns to have and builds the capacity to be able to feel the emotions, or maybe not necessarily like just when to and when not to, right?
Yes. 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 Yeah.
Because
I
there
I
are
totally
others out
agree.
there like you that can feel others' emotions. I know when I first heard it, I personally was like, that's not impossible. That's not possible. I don't believe it. But since then, I've met others that do say they can feel other people's emotions, and that's they're highly empathetic people and very sensitive.
Mm. Yes.
And yes, it
Yes.
can be a gift from God. And how did God play a part in your healing journey?
So again, yeah. So um, everything is from the divine. The sensitivity, the kind of family I was born in, how people are taking me, and how am I responding. So, everything from the very beginning, it's a gift from God. So, you know, so the divine intervention doesn't really happen. It's always there. So the gift that I am calling now a gift, or a realization that it's a gift. Earlier on, I felt it like pain, you know, like this sensitivity, or like feeling everybody's emotions, and it was burning me down, but that was just a part of the process. A shift happened, I think, with one particular incident that I went through a heartbreak, which is, again, I would say nothing like overly traumatic. Like many people go through it. However, at that point in time, uh, circumstances, or again, my sensitivity, that during that time, I think my rationality, or my mind, or my capacity to fix things, it just came to a halt. That's how I understand it. And I was left to feel this deep, raw pain. And I realized that I don't have to fix it, and I don't have the capacity to fix it. And all that I have to do is just be with this pain. I don't have another option. Now, carrying this pain in my heart, it just made my heart very, very soft. And I don't really have, all the technical answers to it, especially at that time. Now I can probably, bring in a technique because I have learned so and so now. But if I go back, like this is like 20 years ago, so no, there was no technique as such. So again, I would say a divine intervention when my heart is broken and my heart is like extremely soft and tears are like rolling down my eyes. And I don't know why. What has gone wrong? It's just my sensitivity to the situation. And then I started inquiring that why? Why am I feeling this pain? What am I supposed to do with this pain? It cannot be fixed. So, so if there's a crisis, you can probably, go and fix it. If there is someone going through a rough time, you can probably do something for them, or you can go and comfort them. But what should I do about myself? Do I want to fix it? No, I don't. Would I want, somehow have that person come back in my life? No. But what should I do with this pain that I'm feeling? So I kept on carrying it. I, again, with some, there was probably divinity that was guiding me, that I would like comfort myself. There's this practice that there's a sect of Muslims, if you would know. So they practice this specific months of Muharram, where the Prophet's family was killed in a brutal war of Karbala. So they practice this. They would do this on their chest. So it's just like, an act that naturally arises when there is so much pain in your heart. So I can remember myself like, laying in my bed and doing this.
And allowing the pain, processing the
And
pain.
yes, and allowing the pain, processing the pain. So I don't have a counselor, I don't have a therapist, but it's me being with my pain, naturally feeling that all I need to do is allow it, allow myself to feel the pain. Can I be with the pain? Yes. Do I need to fix it? No. So that is the divine intervention. And then,
And that's the start of
when I'm
embodied processing.
Yes, exactly. But now I know that 20 years later, at that time I did not. Oh, So, so that's what I'm doing. And as I continue to do that, my mindset shifts. So then, some sort of awakening or some sort of realizations happen that there is more to life, hmm, than feeling burdened. So then by and by, I'm carrying that pain in my heart. But still, I am also awakening to this beauty and joy that is around me. So, things start to coexist. That yes, there are many things wrong, things going wrong around me in my life and other people's life, like in my father's life or in my mother's life or in my brother's life or in my auntie's life or in my grandma's life. But something that I hadn't seen before was this, joy and celebration. So very naturally, that shift starts to happen just because I let the pain be. And then again, the divine intervention uh, that I felt deeply inclined towards spiritual teachings, comparing the Eastern and the Western wisdom, Christian mysticism, Sufism, Advaita Vedanta, um, non-duality, the philosophies, and then, teachers started to appear. And I was deeply influenced by teachings. And then there was Sufi music. So the healing methodologies or the tools at that time were the Sufi music. I'm not sure if you've heard about it. So it's Qawwali. So it's the Qawwali is the poetry or the poems that are written by Sufi saints, and it's sung in a way that is very, very ecstatic. So that
Okay.
was my healing tool at that time. Yeah. And I did not know that, this is how I'm healing. So that is how, by and by, but over a span of 10 years, and then miraculously, I meet my husband, my partner, who comes from similar background, very, very, deeply spiritual, a spiritual seeker in his domain. And then, we connect. And again, I call that a divine intervention. So, he kind of like encouraged my journey and helped me and guided me. So I'm very, very blessed in that way. Yeah. But having said so this is my own healing, you know. So my personal healing, that how I deal with my own pain. But very recently, what I realize is that, I still carried the pain of my parents. That was actually harder. That how to deal or how to heal my my mother's anxiety that is within me,
Your mother's
or like
anxiety.
my mother's anxiety or the fear that my mom felt, the fear of uncertainty, going through her life.
And how did you
So
process the anxiety?
I think it's work in progress. But now I have realized that the process is same. I have to be with it.
It
You
can
know?
soften. Healing brings softening. A friend just said that the other day.
Yes.
It doesn't
Yes.
necessarily completely go away, but it
Yes.
softens. It eases.
Yeah.
The triggers
Mm.
ease significantly. I know when I have felt triggers before, it's like coming up really strong. And
Hmm.
then as the healing happens, it just completely starts to soften. Slowly, slowly. Was that the same for you?
Absolutely, because you know that the fear doesn't bother you anymore. If I'm talking about my father, and if I'm like, I saw him leaving the world in that state of helplessness, and that killed me, you know. That's like, the most painful thing that I have experienced. Leaving him, like looking at him, watching him, like he was probably somebody I loved the most. And watching him leave this world in that state of helplessness. But how do I be with it? How do I allow that to happen? So,
They
but more than like grief of losing him, it's like, the state he left in. That state of, because he was also bedbound for last 5 years, and then he had seen a lot of problems in his life. So it was a life like full of helplessness, I would say. That's probably the best word. Yeah. So seeing him in that, so that stayed in me. So that no, I don't want to touch on that helplessness. So there is this resistance. And by, as when my personal life as it unfolded, and there were, uh, if I just talk about my parents here, so every time I felt fear, every time I end up like in a financial trouble, every time I feel helplessness, I go back to them, that this is how they must have felt. And that is how I release it, resonating with their pain,
understanding.
feeling it in my body, giving it some care and attention, holding it lovingly, and like thanking it, holding it gratefully, allowing it to be in my heart, to be in my body. And then slowly, as it releases, by and by, I feel more empowered. So that's what the process has been for me.
Okay.
A very natural process that unfolded. And then I, like, I was inclined towards studying psychology and counseling and therapy. I ended up finding a modality that you've studied as well, high embodied processing, and that resonated very much with my personal experience.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
You did it
So,
naturally.
yes. So it's something that happens
God was doing.
naturally for me. Yeah. 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 The divine intervention, Yeah. By the grace of God. So my life came a full circle, feeling a lot of pain and then also being able to heal it. And I think what embodied processing has kind of expedited the experience for my personal healing and healing, like the generational trauma, if you would like to call it, too. That now I can name it. Now I have a technique. So if I would like to, offer the same process to others, so now I have the technique. But I learned it very naturally, very organically.
And so yes, so God led embodied processing. There you go. You can't have a better recommendation
Yeah.
than that, ladies and gentlemen. God leading embodied processing.
Yes, yes. How beautifully put.
Exactly.
Yes,
God taking
yes,
care of you.
yes, yes, yes. That's very true. Yes.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much for joining us today. And
Thanks,
if
Erin. It was a pleasure. Mm.
and if you'd like to have a session with us, the information is below. Just look at the link below. and reach out to us, and we're happy to help you. And if you have any questions, just comment below. And if you liked what you watched today, I invite you to subscribe and follow us, as we have many more interviews to come. Thank you.
Thanks, Erin. Thank you.